so excited that the association has provided this opportunity to talk about this, because in my perfect world, the people who are passionate about professional learning will take over the world, and then all of our problems will be solved. I've always felt it's the people who step forward to do the professional leadership roles that are the ones that, you know, we really treasure. You can see that in your roundtable collection and in your short courses. They're the people that I trust, and they're huge influencers. I think one of the things in professional learning that we're seeing a lot of it, and we're going to start writing about it in March, is that when we first designed the Spiral of Inquiry with Helen Timperley, we knew we had something that, you know, made sense, because so many people, including some in this room, have been working on these things for a long time. I think what we've learned is that it's, I'm not going to say a lot harder, but there's more to it than, you know, looking at the playbook. And at each step, there's a lot of decision making that you have to do, and you also have to have incredible skills in knowing how to have democratic dialogues that get you to a good place and a single focus. And that is complex work. And we're finding people all over the world are able to do it, and it does need some scaffolding, and it needs coaches, and that's why we like those trios and people getting help. When you think about it, it's a highly adaptive process. You do need to make yourself vulnerable, because you don't know what the goal is going to be if you're listening to young people. We love our process in BC because we think the world has overdone the taking data sets from far away and holding educators' noses on it. We think it's way better to start with talking to individual learners. Who believes in you? You know, that's the social and emotional belongingness question. And do you know what you're learning? You know, can you explain it? And are you learning something in the week that you find personally meaningful? That's the question from the deeper learning research. These are powerful pieces of evidence, and organized well, they can give us a huge place to start. We find that people change, but not everybody even has that skill of feeling comfortable asking those questions. And now the more mature places are beginning to really get comfortable asking themselves, asking teachers, asking each other. But that's a maturing process. So I think, big point, professional leadership and the people who do it, those are invaluable. In my quality world, give them all an extra professional learning library chance to learn.
Yeah. I think one of the things that, you know, just building on what Linda said, is that we've seen our predisposition, I think, as principals and as teachers, is you want to fix things and you want to fix them fast. And we've really been influenced by the work of Daniel Kahneman, and the title of the very dense book is Thinking Fast and Slow. The decision playbook is based on that work. But the key point is there's some decisions that we need to make quickly as principals, but there's a lot of decisions that we don't. And do we have the skills to take our time and really think through what are the values behind the decisions that we're making? So I think that, you know, the focus for professional development, in addition to developing kind of that genuine inquiry mindset and the skills to lead collaborative inquiry, is do we have the tools to make decisions broadly in the school, but connected to school improvement? What are the points where we need to slow down? And we say we need to slow down to pick up the pace of change. But if we're just going fast all the time, we can run in circles. The other point that we've learned recently, and we learned this from the Whole Education Network in England, is the importance of having external support on an ongoing basis. So the schools that are working with the Spiral of Inquiry each have a coach. And we tried that over the last 3 years with our transition studies, so the secondary schools in BC that were focused on improving transitions for their learners, and found the response to that was really, really positive. So this year we're intensifying that work, and I think we're going to learn a lot from what's the role of an external friend who maybe knows a little bit more about moving things on in a school, touching base on a regular basis, not in a supervisory role, not in a judging role, just simply as an external friend. So that's been important.
Yeah, I think another thing, so interesting on social media and what crosses your computer. When you're talking about decision making, Judy, and taking our time, I think as non-Indigenous people, there's so much to learn from Indigenous leadership, and I think in BC and in the Yukon. We're certainly not where we want to be, but I think there's a sincerity of the efforts of everybody to engage in the processes that we need to engage in. And I think, you know, our Indigenous friends said we always made decision over what would be good for the next 7 generations, over 100, 150 years. And I think that's the realm that we're needing to learn from. And I think people are learning to have powerful experiences and clearly principles. I mean, I worked in the traditional territory of the Stolo people. It was always so wonderful to go because they treated you as if you were an important person as a principal. And I didn't always have that feeling in my day-to-day work. There was a dignity and a respect for formal leadership that was a part of the ethos and culture. And I think how we engage in our professional learning opportunities, how we build that sense of the population who's been here all along from time immemorial into our learning. I think we're getting better at that, and I think the associations have played a big role in that. I hope they continue to double down on that effort.
Another point that I'd make is around the importance of a diverse group when we're learning together, and we've really appreciated that in the TELP program, and we had to kind of lobby for that we didn't want this defined by district leadership or school leadership. We wanted it to be defined by people who cared about making a difference to their system. So in our current group, we have classroom teachers, we have vice principals, we have principals, we've got superintendents, and ministry people together. And I think that richness in the conversation helps people understand each other's perspective more, and I think it helps us, grow up as a system a little bit. So that's been a real pleasure for me, and something that I really appreciate when we can have different perspectives represented in professional learning at the same time. And a few years ago, BC was identified by the Learning First as one of the leading places for professional learning. But I think that the findings of that study still really hold up. That it needs to be inquiry-based. There were 5 findings that came out that professional learning needs to be inquiry-based. So we need to be coming at this through powerful questions. It needs to be collaborative, so we have to do it together. It needs to be coherent and linked. So that we can see that what we're doing makes sense. We need to take our time, and I think the key point for the Principals Association is that it needs to be led by the profession. So instead of relying on somebody else to do it for us, we're going to lead our own professional learning and make sure that we build in the attributes that are required.
Right. That totally makes sense.